Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Quite simply the most informative fishing show you're going to find on YouTube. Now then, I like a bit of all types of fishing. I don't mind what I catch. In fact, here at Totally Awesome we catch pretty much, well, I won't say everything. Colds, flu, we get that as well. But listen, what I want to get you guys doing is to actually sort of think outside the box. You've got to try and think like a fish. Now, I have a huge advantage in that I sort of smell like a fish, you know. Squid, crabs, boilies. No, not boilies, no. Anyway, listen, what we're going to do is take you down the south coast beach fishing, because this was just a one-off hunch. I have never been there in my life before, and I wanted to try and get you to get a feel for fishing when you do have a really good hunch. Okay, I've got a lot of hunches, not that one on my back, no. You've got to have a hunch for fishing a lot of the time. It's not necessarily the latest rod and reel, the latest magazine you're going to read an article in, the latest bait. It's not that. It can often be, good fishing can be, when you're older, you just got a hunch that there's a chance you could catch a fish because, well, you know why, you don't know why, you just want to go. Let's get out there and see if one of my hunches could actually hit some pay dirt. I make some very unwise decisions in life, and this could well be one of them. It's got southeast wind blowing 4 to 5. It's absolutely freezing cold. With a wind chill, it's got to be about -4. And what, are we mad? Well, maybe not. As I said earlier, you've got to learn to choose the swims, not necessarily the rig that catches the fish. And my hunch is down here at Southsea, but it's not Southsea Parade. The pier itself is only, I don't know, best part of, I'm not going to walk it, it's about a mile down the beach. So I've really sort of no idea where I am, it's no secret mark. But what I do remember is this mark called the Blocks off Southsea, which is out to sea here, not very far off. There's a submarine barrier from the Second World War, I think it was, that runs out sort of near enough from the pier. It just runs out towards the end of the Isle of Wight. And then they've got those big forts out there that, I suppose years ago they had gun emplacements on. But that's the mark, and underneath the submarine barrier is all blocks, and everybody knows it's a good place mark. There's sort of like mussel beds out there, and that keeps the place there. And there's some very, very good place fishing we used to have years ago. It's gone downhill quite a lot. Well, it's not gone down quite a lot, it's fallen off a cliff, basically. But the fact that we've been out in our small boat, our little 17-foot Wilson, and we've had some nice place out there, it still gets me to thinking, you know, these fish presumably come back to the same spot each year. Now, they're going to get trawled, they're going to get commercial and caught. They can't be there always in the same numbers, but you have good years, you have bad years. But when you're shore fishing, it just got me to thinking about, well, hang on, those boats out there, the small boats that are fishing out there, they're not a million miles from us. I'm looking at them, they're no more than, I reckon, 400 yards away, 400 or 500 yards away. And as the old saying goes, fish have got fins, they can swim. So my idea here today is to try and fish as close to where the boat mark for mussel beds was as I can. That's all I can say. We're going to give it a shot. We're going to be using Ragworm. We set up our base camp here. What a good job we bought our big coarse fishing umbrella, which has got like a 5-foot span on it. Because, do you know what, I don't think you survive out here more than 4 or 5 hours in the cold. It's absolutely bitter. We've got medium-sized tide. It's coming in, it's going to be high about 3 in the afternoon. So we've got, say, 2 hours up, slack tide, 2 hours down, after which I should be going to the hospital to get treated for frostbite, I should think. See what we can catch. I'll show you the rig. It's one of my favourites, but it's not so much about the rig, it's where we are. And my hunch is, if the boat guys are out there, why would you want to fish anywhere else? Get close to where they've had the fish. If there's a good shore mark, and it's near the boats, you know, the two go together, surely those places are going to swim inshore. Okay, what I'm going to be using is the trusty old Wessex Rig. Okay, so you've got a trace down at the bottom, 2 beads just there, so the lead can slide in between those 2 beads. It's about a 2/0 hook, offset the point, 50-pound shock leader. I've got a 30-pound snood coming off here. I don't like going lighter because that can twist and wrap around. I really don't think the fish are put off by it. Same thing there, and I clip that rig up, and that's a Wessex Rig, a short drop on the top like a dropper, and then you come down, and then this is sliding. That's sliding at the bottom to another one there. Now, with the Plaice, they like a moving bait. There's no question of that, because when we go out in our boat, a lot of the time we use a technique called hopping, which is bouncing from a drifting boat, bouncing the lead across the bottom and it's no question it works. So we're going to try, if there's not too much wind here, to do this so that you cast out with a bomb, either a plain one like this, just a regular surf bomb, or if you want to get a little bit further distance casting, use what we call a long tail bomb here, and that straightens it up in the air, makes it go more like an arrow. Or you can even use a trusty old grip lead, which we might have to as the tide gets stronger, go to a grip lead. But we're going to try with the bomb first. My theory being that when we bump baits along out there in the tide, you catch the Plaice. So why not have a lead that's bumping or moving with the wind and the tide, just even if it comes round, providing there's, you know, no anglers either side of you, you can bump it and move it. And I think as that lead bumps along the bottom, the ragworm behind it maybe sends up a puff of sand. I think there's every chance that a moving bait off the beach, which most people don't do, could actually catch us something. And let me show you about the ragworm. They are some nasty old critters, I can tell you. Okay, so these ragworm, these ones are fresh ones. Straight out dug fresh this morning. My bat's killing me. Actually, no, I bought them from the tackle shop. Think I'm going to dig these in the southeast, Lee? You are sadly mistaken. But keep them in newspaper. If you can, they have, I don't know what they use with them now, but years ago we used to keep them in what they used to call vermiculite, which is sort of an insulation material, and that helps dry them out. These, when they're fresh, when they're dug like this, will be very, very slippery and slimy. So what you want to do is when you bait up, just dry the front end so you can get a bit of a grip and thread the hook round. You can either leave the hook sticking out here and roll it around. We showed that in one of our other videos. You just dab it like this and you can get the hook in. They don't slide out. Otherwise they are very, very slippery and slimy to bait up with. These will last a couple of days. Ragworm do not freeze well at all. They go really soft and mushy. So if you've got them, just use them and then go and either dig some more or buy some more for another day's fishing. Now, they also have fangs on them. I don't know whether we're going to be able to show you on the end of these, but in here they have two big pinchers. Now, I don't know if I can get that one to put his pinchers out, possibly not. There we go. In there you can see that opening. He'll come out, and they generally, let's try another one as well, because these are enormous ragworm. At the end there's how they feed, is they have two pinchers. Let's see if one touching the other they're going to fight. No. Just watch you don't get nipped in there. They won't hurt you that much, but they just prick. They do actually have a pair of pinchers. And if you want, you can thread the hook right down through the throat there and right through the body and support them all the way up. Personally, with animals as long as this one, just look at the length of this. There we go. Well, look at that. That's a two worm. I was just going to say, when you get down the end of the body, there's a soft part down the bottom end. Don't waste that as one big bait unless you're fishing for bass. If you're going for stuff like plaice, flounders, dabs, any of the small fish pouting, just, you know, snap a big worm in half. Don't waste it on a whole single hook. Why not bait that with two hooks? Because that would almost break there and make a third bait. Anyway, let's get cracking. Let's get those lines in the water and see if it's a hunch really of fishing opposite these blocks, what we call the blocks. Are we going to catch any flatfish? I hope so. Guys, we haven't had anything yet, but I am actually feeling quite fishy, and I'll tell you for why. There's a guy in what looks like a small boat, I think it's an Arva. He's come right along the coast, he's come right past everybody's lines, and he's just dropping anchor for Plaice just up there. And there's some guys fishing down there, and unfortunately for the guy in the Arva, one of them is a very good pendulum caster, and he might have a lead through his windscreen, but it looks like he's going to stay there, and he's very, very close. But that gives me a little bit of confidence. He obviously thinks he's Plaice in here as well. Well, let's see if he's right. If he's not, least can happen to him, he gets a 6-ounce grip lead straight through his windscreen. He's very close.
Well guys, we're into the first fish. Tippet, it's not a Plaice, it's a small dab by the looks of things, but I did catch it opposite than a small boat up there that is Plaice fishing, and that is our totally awesome tip. Might be a small Plaice.
That's a small Plaice.
It is a small Plaice.
Well, there you go, it works.
There we go. First fish of the day. We've been here about half an hour. Sun's just coming out. It is freezing, absolutely freezing. But there we go, guys. First fish. We're going to get this one back in the water, bait up, and cast out straight away. If you guys could smell this bacon, you'd want to be here eating it with us.
And even though it looks rough, it's much better to have it like this with a bit of churned up action than a flat calm. Flat calm's no good. And don't forget to keep checking that bait regularly. If you get chewed up and bitten off baits in half an hour, put the baits out in 20 minutes. You do not want to fish with an empty hook. Run for it! There we go, guys. It's absolutely horrible out there now. And there's a flounder. So that shows the choice of trying to choose that flatfish mark. And I went up there and I've spoken to about 10 guys, nobody's caught anything. So we've got Plaice. Guy next to, I think he might have had a bass. I'm going to go and ask him in a minute. And now we've got a flounder. So it appears, sitting here off this little spot, off the rocks of Southsea, you can get some good fish. Let's put it back. And my hunch to fish this spot looks like paying off, because the guy next to me not only had a really nice bass, he also had a big flounder as well. So that's a nice bass.
Caught this one on Eastney Beach on Ragworm.
On rag, yeah?
Yeah, on Ragworm.
It's good, nice fish though, yeah.
Yeah.
So have you fished it before?
About 20 years ago.
Oh really? So,
Yeah.
so you know the spot then?
First time, 20 years, yeah.
Opposite the blocks?
Yeah.
That's a nice fish, yeah, that's a nice one, yeah. Good bite, you see the bite and everything?
Yeah, good pull on it, yeah.
Good old bang, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice bass. Well, I think you are man of the moment today, because I've been right the way down to the pier and there's nothing
I've
caught.
caught nothing,
I
no.
have not seen a fish caught, yeah.
No.
That's nice to see that is, yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant, yeah, good man. Well guys, you can see by the totally deserted and empty beach that only the totally awesome twins are here, father and son nutters, staying here in a freezing cold. But you know what, even we've had it. I talked to that other gentleman and as you can see he had a bass. he had a real nice flounder there as well. But more important, he confirmed what I thought about finding this spot here opposite the blocks. He hasn't fished here for 20 years, and I drove at least 3/4 of a mile down the beach, right down to the pier. Nobody caught anything. The other side, nothing caught. The only ones to catch were right opposite where I thought the place might be, and they were, albeit he had a bass and a flounder. But he told us he used to catch with his dad there 2 and 3 5-pound plaice a session off the beach. So the hunch was right that I had. Now what you've got to consider is, do you concentrate just on rigs, do you concentrate just on tides, or do you use the grey matter up here and try and work out another angle on the fishing? My angle on the fishing is now cut, let's go home. I can barely move my fingers. Well, until next time, totally awesome fishing show, dying of hypothermia.